With each passing year, our friendships and relationships become even more important. But some connections can quietly drain your happiness, peace, and well-being without you ever noticing. What if avoiding a few specific types of people could preserve your joy in this season of life? Have you ever wondered if certain companions are making your later years harder instead of happier? The truth is, the people you surround yourself with can make all the difference, especially as you grow older. Stay until the end. What you'll learn might change your life. If this resonates with you, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and share your thoughts in the comments below. The energy drainers. Picture an afternoon where you're comfortably seated with a warm cup of tea, the late sunlight streaming in, and the gentle hum of birds in the background. It's the kind of peaceful setting many look forward to in their golden years. But then your phone rings. It's that one friend or family member who always calls, not to share joy or listen, but to unload a torrent of complaints and negativity. The conversation becomes a dark cloud over your serene day, sapping your energy and leaving you restless long after the call ends. If you recognize this feeling, you're not alone. There's a special category of people known as energy drainers, those who, intentionally or not, seem to bring a gray fog wherever they go. It's rarely obvious at first. Sometimes it's a friend you've known for decades, someone you love deeply, but after spending time with them, you can feel your spirits drop. They might grumble about their health constantly, spread pessimism about the world, or find fault in every silver lining you offer. Their focus on what's missing, what's wrong, and what can't be changed leaves little room for hope or positivity. These energy drainers don't set out to harm you. Most are stuck in their own cycle of discontent, unable to recognize how their attitudes impact those around them. However, the effect on you can be profound. You may notice you begin to dread their calls or visits, feel groggy after meeting them, or find your own mood shadowed by their complaints. For older adults, whose days are too precious to waste on unnecessary stress, this slow leaching of enthusiasm can rob you of the simple joys that make life beautiful. Think about your cherished routines: tending the garden, savoring a favorite show, laughing with neighbors, or just soaking in precious moments of quiet. Notice how interactions with certain people make those activities less enjoyable. If you grew up in a culture that values loyalty and long-standing bonds, setting limits can feel uncomfortable, even disloyal. But now, more than ever, your time and well-being deserve to be honored. Imagine having the freedom to gently limit your exposure to people who leave you feeling depleted. Maybe it's choosing to answer the phone less often or suggesting group get-togethers rather than one-on-ones with those who consistently vent. Some find it helpful to encourage lighter topics or steer conversations toward memories and shared hobbies, gently guiding the energy towards something healthier. Others find that communicating clear boundaries, politely but firmly, brings tremendous relief. Over time, even small changes can create more space for positivity and gratitude in your days. Sometimes caring for an energy drainer feels like a responsibility, especially if you're one of their only sources of support. But you are not obligated to sacrifice your peace at the altar of someone else's mood. And finding this balance is part of the delicate wisdom that comes with age. By choosing your company carefully and creating boundaries, you're not being selfish. You're protecting the foundation that brings purpose, joy, and strength to your later years. Ask yourself, who brings light into your life, and who might be casting a shadow? Would you rather spend your afternoons feeling content or find yourself drained by someone else's negativity? This simple question could lead you to a healthier, more fulfilling chapter. Are you ready to explore who else may be affecting your happiness, often in ways you don't expect? The chronic critics. Imagine spending time on a passion project, perhaps knitting a warm blanket for your grandchild, tending a garden you've nurtured for years, or simply trying your hand at a new recipe. You feel the glow of pride for having created something from the heart. Then, that familiar voice chimes in, "You missed a stitch there," or "I would have chosen different colors," or "That meal could use a bit more salt." No matter what you accomplish, this person has a knack for pointing out every perceived flaw, magnifying imperfections instead of celebrating your efforts. The chronic critic can appear anywhere: a longtime friend, a family member, even someone from your community group. Their pattern is clear. Rather than offering encouragement or genuine guidance, they highlight shortcomings, compare you unfavorably to others, or sprinkle subtle jabs into ordinary conversation. Over time, their words feel less like advice and more like tiny stings, dulling the satisfaction you get from your own achievements. It's a burden that many in their later years know all too well. You may remember gatherings where the mood was light until this particular person arrived. Everyone braces themselves. Conversations that once drifted easily between memories and laughter now feel tense, with people watching what they say to avoid sparking another round of criticism. Perhaps you have found yourself replaying their words in your head later, doubting your choices, or quietly questioning whether your efforts were worthwhile. There's a special kind of pain in having enthusiasm dampened, especially when you expected support. Forging new paths or maintaining independence as you age can be challenging enough on its own. Adding a critic's voice to the mix makes every step heavier, and soon, you might avoid sharing your ideas or projects altogether, just to sidestep the inevitable scrutiny. What makes chronic critics especially tough to recognize and manage is that their remarks often sound harmless or even well-meaning. They might claim to be offering constructive feedback or safe things for your own good. But deep down, you know when the result consistently leaves you feeling smaller, not stronger. It's important to remember that you are not obligated to accept every opinion as valid, nor must you try to live up to someone else's impossible standards. There is great freedom in learning to let go of harsh words and embrace your own journey, imperfections, risks, and all. One strategy some have found useful is to send a clear yet gentle message. "I'm proud of what I made," or "This brings me joy," even if it's not perfect. Others prefer to quietly shift the conversation when they sense criticism creeping in, changing the subject to something neutral or uplifting. Sometimes, building a little distance is necessary, whether that means fewer invitations or shorter conversations. In doing so, you give yourself room to rediscover what makes you happy, unburdened by unwelcome judgments. Every stage of life holds the possibility of learning, creating, and finding fulfillment. Allowing someone's critical voice to overshadow your own laughter or confidence robs you of that richness. If you've ever hesitated to try something new or felt anxiety sharing your successes because of one person's reactions, it may be time to ask, how much space should this critic be allowed to take in your life? What possibilities would open up if you gave yourself permission to enjoy your passions without fear of judgment? As we move on, are you wondering who else might be quietly shaping your days and what you can do to protect your joy? The chronic takers. Picture a crisp, peaceful morning when your agenda is simply to enjoy a slow breakfast and savor the quiet. But before you've taken your second sip of coffee, the phone buzzes or someone knocks at your door. It's that one person who always seems to need a favor. At first, you might not mind helping out, lending a hand, offering advice, or even running a small errand for someone can feel rewarding, allowing you a chance to show care and generosity. Yet over time, a pattern develops. This person never seems to offer help in return. Whether it's driving them to appointments, listening endlessly to their troubles, or letting them borrow your things, which rarely seem to return. Their requests grow frequent, and appreciation becomes scarce. You start to realize your days revolve less around what you want and more around what they need. Many older adults have generous spirits shaped by decades of supporting children, spouses, friends, and neighbors. These instincts are beautiful, but they can make it surprisingly easy to fall into relationships that grow one-sided. Chronic takers often present themselves as needy or helpless, relying on the good nature of others to make life easier for themselves. Sometimes their need is genuine, a difficult health issue, transportation struggles, or a difficult period in their life. Other times, they simply find it easier to lean on others than make efforts on their own. The result, regardless of intentions, can be draining and even frustrating. You might remember a time when a friend or relative repeatedly asked for rides, money, or errands just this once. The requests never seemed to end, and there was seldom a sense that your help made a difference, except to make them more dependent on you. Over time, you could find yourself feeling trapped, guilty for wanting to say no, or worried that setting limits might end a friendship. But your time, energy, and resources are valuable, especially now. The golden years are meant for you to reclaim space in your life for your own interests, whether that's picking up old hobbies, traveling, or discovering new books. There's nothing selfish about asking yourself if you have the bandwidth to give, or about gently asserting your need to put your own priorities first. It might mean saying, "I'm not available this week," or encouraging the person to seek help elsewhere once in a while. You may be surprised that, with healthy boundaries, relationships can sometimes shift into more balanced territory. Chronic takers can learn, too, when they're shown it's possible to respect others' time and energy. By stepping back, you create room for reciprocal friendships, those where care and kindness flow naturally both ways, without pressure or resentment. It can feel unsettling at first to put your own needs before someone else's, especially if you've always been the helper. But just as you have given freely, you deserve to receive support, respect, and understanding in return. Think back to relationships in your life. Are there people who consistently ask but rarely offer? How might your days look if you freed yourself from obligations that weigh you down? Who might you become if your time was yours to enjoy on your terms? With each chapter, you have the chance to build connections that restore and uplift you. Do you feel curious about what's possible when you gently shift the balance? The drama magnets. Imagine planning a quiet afternoon with a good book or a walk in the park, only to have your peace interrupted by a call filled with frantic stories, urgent dilemmas, and emotional crises, none of which are actually yours. The drama magnet specializes in pulling others into their whirlwind of everyday struggles, big or small. Their tales often come with heightened emotions and a sense of constant chaos. Perhaps you've experienced how just one conversation can leave you feeling tense or drained, as though you've absorbed some of their stress by listening. Over time, you might notice a pattern. Every gathering or phone call is an opportunity for them to vent, gossip, or stir up issues that keep everyone on edge. Instead of relaxing and enjoying companionship, you find yourself mentally bracing for another episode of unrest. This person seldom seeks resolution, but rather thrives on having company within their storm. For those in their later years, navigating life's own natural changes, the last thing you need is to take on extra turmoil that isn't yours to bear. Sometimes it feels easier to just listen and nod along, but before you know it, your own emotional well-being has taken a back seat to someone else's dramas. Setting gentle limits, like steering conversations to neutral ground or simply excusing yourself when the emotional temperature rises, can make all the difference. Your peace is precious, and protecting it means understanding when and how to set those boundaries. Have you ever noticed how one person's anxieties can ripple through your day, lingering long after they've left? What might your life feel like if, instead, you surrounded yourself with voices and stories that soothe and uplift rather than disturb? The manipulators in disguise. Picture a neighbor or family member who always seems warm, helpful, and even generous on the surface. They might deliver a casserole when you're unwell or insist you join them at a local event. It feels flattering at first. Who wouldn't appreciate someone attentive, especially as the years roll on and social circles naturally evolve? However, over time, subtle patterns start to emerge. This person might always have a plan or suggestion that benefits them, not you. Their compliments, though frequent, have an edge, steering you toward choices that serve their own interests. They may use guilt or flattery to steer your decisions, gradually chipping away at your independence while making it seem as though everything is for your own good. For older adults, particularly those who value harmony and tradition, it can be confusing to spot this type of influence. You might remember a time when a relative persuaded you to attend a gathering you didn't enjoy, but you went along because they insisted they couldn't do it without you. Maybe a neighbor always asks for your advice, then spins the conversation so you end up volunteering your time or resources while they sidestep any real effort. At first, you shrug it off. After all, you tell yourself, what are friends for? Or perhaps you worry that saying no will upset the delicate balance of the relationship or even lead to conflict, which is something almost everyone wants to avoid as they get older. But manipulative people rarely stop at just one instance of influence. What might begin as small favors or friendly help can quickly build into a dynamic where you consistently set aside your own priorities in order to keep the peace or maintain their approval. You may realize the joy you once felt in certain friendships or family ties has been dampened by a persistent sense of obligation or subtle unease. The truth is that manipulators, whether they mean harm or simply fall into the habit of steering others, can have a profound impact on peace of mind and autonomy. For older adults who have spent much of life contributing to families, communities, or careers, retaining control over one's time, decisions, and personal boundaries is not just a matter of comfort, but of dignity. Learning to recognize manipulative patterns is key. It might be the friend who lays on guilt when you politely decline an invitation, or the adult child who always frames your choices as selfish unless they align with their preferences. Sometimes manipulation can be disguised as concern. I just worry about you being alone, when what's really meant is, I want you to do things my way. Standing your ground may feel daunting if you're used to accommodating others. But with gentle honesty and clear communication, you can redirect these relationships toward healthier ground. Try offering a firm but kind no, thank you, or expressing appreciation for their concern while affirming your own preferences. Choose activities that recharge you, and don't be afraid to seek support from friends who respect your choices without complaint. Taking these steps not only shields your happiness, it empowers others to relate to you as an equal, not simply as a means to their own ends. Manipulation thrives in silence and compliance, so even the smallest act of self-advocacy can disrupt the cycle. Reflect on moments when a seemingly helpful individual has steered your actions in ways you didn't want. How different could your days be if your energy and choices flowed from your own desires, not someone else's agenda? What doors would open if you insisted on relationships rooted in mutual trust instead of subtle control? As the seasons of life change and we find ourselves with more precious time and wisdom, it becomes even more important to cherish the peace and happiness we've earned. The journey we've taken today, recognizing energy drainers, chronic critics, constant takers, drama magnets, and manipulators, reminds us that true well-being often depends not just on what we do, but on the company we keep as the years go by. It takes honesty and courage to admit when a relationship is weighing us down, but acting on that truth is an act of self-respect and love. By honoring our boundaries, choosing supportive friends, and allowing ourselves to step away from negativity, we light the way for even more joy and fulfillment in life's later chapters. Remember, you have a right to set the tone for your golden years. It's never too late to invite light, laughter, and peace into your circle, or to gently close the door on those who do not bring out the best in you. Every new day is a chance to shape your surroundings and fill your time with kindness, respect, and warmth. You deserve relationships that nurture and honor who you are and all you have given. Let your years ahead be filled with serenity and the company of people who make your heart lighter. If this message touched you, comment the word wisdom below and share your thoughts or stories about protecting your peace as you grow older. Don't forget to subscribe for more uplifting messages. Together, let's make the most of these beautiful, wise years.